Hello friends, August the 20th. Already weeks ago I was wondering what big event would really be manifesting in the United States on that day of the 19th and in that window in that week. And all I knew at the time was that was Democratic Convention. So I just really couldn't imagine what that would be really being related to very positive developments. However, here we have it. Let me just play you this clip if you haven't heard it before. That's the bombshell. That's the bombshell story of the Leo full moon. Period.
Hey, Junior's running mate, Nicole Shanahan. Nicole, it's great to have you on the show. I know you saw bits and pieces of the DNA. Bring in RFK Jr.'s running mate, Nicole Shanahan. Nicole, it's great to have you on the show. I know you saw bits and pieces of the DNC tonight. What did you think of Barack Obama's speech?
Well, he's very eloquent,
yeah.
And I'm a former Democrat. This was the last Democratic president I was really excited about. I think tonight if you read between the lines, it's definitely concerning. It's hard to even grasp that he's excited about this presidential election.
You made some big news today, talking about the Kennedy-Shanahan ticket. Does it stay in the race, Nicole? What are your thoughts on that?
You know, it's Bobby's decision. I came into this supporting him wholeheartedly to win this election. And I have to say there's only one party that has obstructed a fair election for us. And unfortunately, it was the Democratic Party. They've done everything they can, including creating PACs to prevent us from being able to have ballot access.
Yeah, it's interesting because you were saying that you could stay in and run the risk of Kamala Harris win, or you could walk and you could join forces with Donald Trump. When you say join forces, Nicole, what do you mean specifically?
Well, this idea of a unity party, an idea of us coming around these principles of fighting for liberty in this country, fighting for our children's health. We have the worst chronic health crisis in the world right now. Over 50% of children are diagnosed with some chronic disease. This is unconscionable.
Yeah.
And we are willing to work with anyone who is sincere in their endeavor to fix and address this issue.
Do you believe the Trump campaign and Trump himself is sincere? Do you see a home? You talk about this as being Bobby's decision. Do you see a home for RFK Jr. in the Trump administration, Health and Human Services, something to that extent?
I would fully support it. I would fully support a strong partnership dedicated to this issue. A lot of people comment that in his first term he didn't accomplish many of the things that mothers really were hoping he would do. Made some big mistakes around the pandemic. However, I think that he is sincere.
Yeah,
I do.
I think it's interesting because the National Review today kind of agrees with you. It's saying,
well, what do you say to this? And it was actually Alex Jones, I guess, who broke the story in the bigger way. That was, he says, an hour earlier, after 7 in the evening on the East Coast, yesterday, Tuesday evening, just about 24 hours after that powerful full moon, which we have the chart here on the side for Greenwich. We will go deeper into this chart and I'll show you the relation to the American chart. It's just stunning. It's unbelievable. I mean, the full moon was pretty much dead on the moon of the American Nations Foundation, the moment when the Declaration of Independence was signed. Here you see it. 2712 is the moon in this chart, and that's where the full moon was at 2715. So it can't be much more powerful, and there's many other things which show that too. Just even thinking, well, we're getting there. I'm getting ahead of myself, but I just wanted to say I expected something of great magnitude to happen in the United States, and here we go. And this is just the beginning, really. Now it's really snowballing and amplifying. It's really an avalanche which has been cooked loose, broken loose, cooked loose. Well, who knows? Okay. Anyway, so today I guess the day when the American public really found out, because I mean it takes a little while till everybody is reached, we had this big M5 solar flare. Actually it was in the early evening, pretty much 24 hours after the news had been broken. And I mean, this chart in itself is a jewel, and it shows really again the fractal power of that place on our planet of Greenwich, the Royal Observatory of Greenwich. No coincidence that this was chosen. A very, very powerful place, and naturally by common agreement on all people, something gets even more cemented and important. So it's that zero meridian, which, you know, I don't want to go into this. You understand what I mean. Pluto was perfectly overhead on that zero meridian. That moment of the flare went off this afternoon, which was a random boost, just kind of kicking the full moon energy in, even boosting it more, boosting the afterburner, something like that you could say. And it happened when the moon was in the last degree of the zodiac when this flare went off, just here in this narrow Neptune conjunction. Very, very beautiful, very auspicious. The void of course moon naturally shows it's unknown territory we're moving in. Nothing really is written in a clear way how it will go. We're in a chaotic zone. That's what I want to say. It's where two signs meet. It's like oil and water, and they are interacting in a chaotic way. So it is extremely potent, and with the sun here in a 150 degree here now, presently in the last degree of Leo, so that also applies for the sun right now. It is in that chaotic anaretic degree where everything is kind of possible, nothing can be excluded. It's a time of transition, of changing skins, moving into a different character. Here is the brightest star in the night sky, Regulus, at 0 degrees Virgo since November 2011. Something you could contemplate about. Very important date that was, November 2011. Regulus, because of the precession of the equinoxes, appeared in front of Virgo since then. So it's really the Earth's alignment in space which makes the fixed stars, which are not really fixed as we know, but almost move through the zodiac. So these are always really big events when big stars change signs. So that is definitely related to the 2012 date. I have the strong understanding this actually was the main marker which made the Mayans think of this would be the beginning of a new time, and it definitely was. So we have all that going, and as you probably know, this is also the degree of Mr. Trump's ascendant, 2955 in Leo. That is also explaining definitely to a big part his charisma. There's many more things to that, but it is an interesting observation of mine that last degree of Leo has been so many times showing up strongly, as I will show you in the next few charts here which I have ready for you. It was very clear that this was really going that direction, that he would be reinstated or getting his honor back, and that exactly happened today in a very big way. She says, Miss Shanahan, Nicole Shanahan, the person RFK Jr. had chosen as his running mate. And she says, yes, 71% of the population are now in favor of a unity party of really working together for the good, for the better, and for what the future has in store for us to get that to the very, very best place we can. And it's become really obvious on many levels now, being seen to everyone, and maybe just go and watch what happens in Chicago at the time. It's definitely not a bad thing to be informed and to get first-hand footage from how that event is unfolding, what this party is really standing for and whatnot. So, I mean, everything has really ended up in the ditch in many ways, and this is the moment of resurrection which has arrived. You could say, yes, there's still a long ways to go. This is just really the big first correction which is being enforced on this reality. You could say enforced naturally from consciousness perspective. Consciousness is the one who's really carrying that intention. So anyway, this is the, I mean, it's just so exciting to see how things happen in the exact moment. It really shows the intelligence of the universe. And I want to go back to this full moon chart once more and say a few more things about it. Okay, something is off here. I have to, okay. Yeah, it always changes me the time, because I like to calculate my charts in universal time, but for some reason the newer version here of Solar Fire changes back to British summertime. So let me just correct this quickly. That would be an hour later here under these circumstances. So this is the full moon chart of yesterday. Again, you see 2715, that was the full moon axis. The close conjunction with Vesta has really not been mentioned much, which is that spiritual fire of doing the right thing for the higher reasons and really putting yourself on the back burner and being of service. In a perfect T-square of Uranus, you see within 3-4 minutes also to the American moon 2712, and that is based on the time Rudyard has been using. Then Rudyard, the great astrologer of the 20th century, he came up with that time for the American nation of which with this ascendant of in the 14th degree of Sagittarius. So yes, let's have a quick peek into this full moon chart once more, because there's some really exceptional stuff going on. And I just want to show you quickly here a few of the extra planets which had strong alignments on that day. This is the Rayal program, which I think sadly enough is no more available, but Juan Revilla, if anyone of you has contact to him, I lost it. I would like to know what he's doing, how he's doing. Leave me a comment underneath. So that is his program, and Pluto and Haumea had a most exact square aspect on that day. Here is Pluto, Haumea 015, Pluto 014, it says here, but within less than a minute of arc. Haumea is about redoing something, rebuilding it from scratch, reforming, bringing change from inside out. And Pluto naturally is fueled by this energy here in early Aquarius. This is really rebirthing society, you could say, that the way we work together, which is all about Aquarius. It's all about those great ideals, those foundations. The Declaration of Independence was based on égalité, fraternité et liberté. Came out of the French Revolution too. So that whole time, actually that was the last time Pluto was in Aquarius. That was during that time, French Revolution, just after the American independence. Then this wave really gained momentum. few more I wanted to point out. I mean, this is an exceptional program which shows you all kinds of extra characters. This is super interesting, the Pholus-Quaoar conjunction, which has been going on now already for quite a few years. These will actually be in close contact till 2061 or 63. So for more than 40 years they move in sync. Pholus is a centaur, and Pholus is the one which brings things to light, which has the courage to really dig the ditches open and look and bring, in that sense, higher understanding of why things are. Also gives us the courage to cut through resistance and hindrances. It is that moment when you finally decide to jump into the pool after having been contemplating for a long time. Quaoar is a creation force. It's actually a creation god named after a Native American deity of the West Coast who was singing and dancing existence into manifestation. Singing and dancing, that was his way of bringing reality into manifestation. A very beautiful story. So you see there's lots of this cardinal energy of rebuilding, of restructuring, of going to the bottom of that whole corundum and bringing light into it, and most of all the courage, and more so even as Maki and Salacia are T-squaring the two. Let me just show you, I have it here in my chart. These are some of those which I am using for my in that complex picture you always see, and many people probably are a little bit intimidated by that. Don't be too much of that. I always try to just bring in the ones which matter, and it's just for my own learning. That's why I have them always displayed, because that's how we learn, by observation. So here you have Pholus and Quaoar. Actually, Ceres was in the middle of it when the moon was exactly full. That's even more powerful. Ceres, the earth goddess. So this is really the recreation moment we have been longing for for really quite a while, has arrived. This is the turning point of history, you could say, this 19th of August full moon chart. Yes, here you have Pholus, Ceres and Quaoar, and T-squaring the nodal axis. That's where I'm getting to here. So this is the direction of evolution, and the handle of this equation, if you want, at the balancing point is naturally the 90-degree aspect. So these are really sitting at the, also when you have a scale, that's where you're reading the how much heavier the other is than this one. Kind of, it's really that center point, 90 degrees from the nodes, always a super powerful point in any chart, bringing the two polarities together. You could also say the one from where we build on to where we are going. Just that hinge in between. Anyway, I could keep going and going. I wanna not do that. It shouldn't be 3 hours long. So, okay, let me teach you another story here yet quickly. This was the moment when Mercury crossed that degree where it will come to a halt on its backward journey, which it is on right now. You see right now it is at 2406, coming from 4 or 5 degrees Virgo, where it actually turned backward on August the 5th. But before that, it was on July 17 when Mercury first touched that degree where it eventually would start moving forward again. So it is one of the studies I'm doing. I found that this is a super, super powerful moment which precedes the whole next Mercury cycle in this case. And already this chart here for Greenwich was gave a very clear hint at where we were going. Look at this Juno here at the 4th house cusp, still in the 3rd house, which means it's still in the communication phase of really reaching out to one another. Juno, as you know, is the asteroid of communication, of working together, of teamwork, support, loyalty. It's really that one of these asteroids which are super important. They all are right now. It is really, that's the roles we are given to play in this great play, in this Shakespearean drama. And when we are having the courage to really step into these roles and play them, then existence comes in and gives us all the tools and little extras and helpers we are needing to accomplish, to fulfill a task. But it is really the taking on the invitation. It's kind of the glove is thrown in your way, as it was in the Middle Ages when you were challenged to a duel. That's kind of the thing. These asteroids throw us the glove, and we then, in order to really stand up to who we are and what our inherent talent and power is, just trusting your intention, and you will get all the help. So this was beautiful. This was really a first sign that we were moving in the right direction. Very strong one, that these next 4 months into November would be really the critical center line of where we are going on this planet. Interesting also that the black moon was exactly by 12 minutes maybe in the midheaven of the Independence chart. You see 211, 158. So yes, this was also very clear in that chart already, that these next 4 months would really bring the light to the shadow in that country. And the same thing we will see in other ways too. Let's just keep it at that for this chart. It just shows you how this is a really super powerful moment. That is then when Mercury turned retrograde. Just want to reiterate once more, this is the direction where that green comet, which made so much noise in early 2023, the green star-seeded comet of humanity's deliverance codes. That was the energy which activated us, which really brought into our minds these particular ideas which we needed, which were kind of the little missing links. And as you know, that green comet linked us in time back to the continent of Mu 50,000 years ago. That's how big that orbit is of that comet. One of the longest orbits, I guess the longest so far observed, of a comet which would eventually come back again. So it was a super, super powerful comet. And so this Mercury retrograde was reactivating that energy. And then Chariklo, Chiron's wife, was all about holding that space and creating the atmosphere for the healing to start becoming possible even. That is, yeah, I mean, it's a really magical window wherein, as I mentioned many times, in the last few videos, just even thinking that the moon here at 2141, that was the moment when Mercury turned retrograde. That is where Mercury will come back to again. You see, 2141, and here we have 2124. So that is the preparation chart, and this one is the when it's getting into its retrograde mode. Anyway, then next chart I quickly want to review is the Mars-Jupiter conjunction of August 14. The moon here was actually in the exact same degree as 1 month prior when Trump was shot at. So that was interesting for me to realize there is a loop here, a time loop to that moment. Also the 14th degree of Sagittarius here rising for Greenwich. Again, just want to show you this resonance with the American chart. So there's so many things which really speak for this chart with this ascendant to be a very, very powerful moment. Yes, that's definitely debatable if there's better moments, but that's the best I've found, and the chart which works. Okay, synodic Mercury, that was yesterday when Mercury was exactly conjunct the Sun. Mercury is moving backwards here, coming from 4 degrees Virgo, going back to 22, 21 and something Leo by the 28th. So that was the day when it was exactly center line between Sun and Earth, or from Earth's perspective, between Earth and the Sun. This is always the birth of a new cycle, of a new Mercury cycle. And look where the moon is, 1706. What did we look at before here? The which one was it again? The one from when Mercury turned retrograde, right? Too many charts open here. You see the 17th degree. It's here 1640, and Mercury turned retrograde, and then when Mercury has its synodic cycle, the moon is here. Now, okay, a few extras now. It happens that the independence chart, the new world chart, is really the foundation for the new civilization on this planet. That is where the seed was planted. Go back to the recording I made a few weeks ago about the progressions, the secondary progressions. It's quite powerful, and you see really that this is a process which is way, way bigger than the United States. The Chiron return. That's where the Jupiter-Mars conjunction occurred, you see, 1737, 1640, the moon opposite, so it is within a degree or so, but certainly very exact. The moon at 011 Libra. Now this is time sensitive, where the moon will be in a return. This can change by every 4 minutes degree or so. That might not be correct what I'm saying here, sorry. But it's definitely the moon 011 Libra shows that this process is being brought into the greater public. This is no more in a box held tight to the chest. This becomes a public debate. And as Juno is in Libra in the independence chart, and Juno is back in Libra too, as you see here in the full moon chart. 3 degrees 23. So Juno will actually come back to this degree by early October, and that's a chart I have lined up for you, and you will be stunned to see that one. So just stay tuned, I will be getting there. Yet another amazing thing is, okay, let me get back on track here, that was the Chiron return. And then, as you just heard me say, the full moon was most close in degrees to where the American Nations moon is, the Independence Declaration moon 2712. So this is the chart for the lunar return, just a tiny bit before the moon was exactly full, which is a lunar return, and I calculated it for Philadelphia, which is really the birthplace of the United States in that sense of America, as that's where that document was signed. So it still holds that energy. That's why I'm using this as a relocation place, again as a fractal for the whole country. And what do you see? The Saturn-Venus opposition is in the power axis, in the consciousness axis, in the where we are rooted on the ground, in the earth, and where we are meant to grow towards as a nation in these 4 coming weeks, you could say. And Saturn-Venus opposition is another really crucial ingredient of that full moon we had, which was yesterday exact, which is kind of that sobering and understanding this is a task which involves our hearts, and we have to go through some difficulty and take on the task. It is very Saturnian to fulfill something of that import. Has lots of responsibility in it, and naturally with Venus in Virgo, midheaven in Virgo, this is the feminine energy of care, of support, of healing. Venus is very wonderfully placed in Virgo, very much at home. It's motherhood as such. And then we have also Astrea, another of the asteroid goddesses again, who is the one who is really ready to get her hands dirty and help. She is the one who steps down from the podium and gets involved. She was the last one to desert humans, if at all, I don't know that, but she still stayed when all the other gods were fleeing. I guess I say it wrongly, she never deserted, she really stayed to the bitter end, and I do not know where the story ends, but maybe the story ends now. That's how long it really is been since the antique Greece, that finally the conclusion is now coming. She has been here all along and helping us, and I guess that is really the meaning here. There's some redemption here happening too. Interesting also is that the 26th degree, 27th degree, that is where Mr. Trump's Mars is, so that was another indication that there would be a great empowerment for him coming with this full moon. Also thinking that Mr. Trump's Jupiter is around 17-18 degrees in Libra, in a perfect trine to Jupiter and Mars. They're coming closer to his Sun in Gemini at 22 something. So you see, it's overall really easy to see. He is the one who's definitely able to hold this story together. And as Miss Shanahan said, yes, he has made mistakes, and I'm sure he is able to see that, and we know that he has good intentions. I guess that's pretty clear to everyone else. And then naturally, not to forget, we have that first exact Saturn-Jupiter square. On that same day, go back to my earlier recording, there you get the bigger story of that, how much of at the crucial moment in this 20-year cycle we are at. As the waxing square, Jupiter has been moving away from Saturn since December 2020. It's now at 90 degrees, which is crisis in action. That's the energy of the waxing half moon, which is very yang, very male, and get it done. This is the time to step forward and get real, versus the waning square, which is coming in 10 years or so, then will be the crisis in thinking, where we have to take the mental conclusions out of the cycle, but that's still far ahead. So this is the polarity, the crisis in action, very, very clear, and squaring Venus and Saturn. It was very clear that with the involvement of Mars and Venus, which are the biological planets of real manifestation, tangible, that's how we create, and the social planets, Jupiter and Saturn, which really give the guidelines for how we grow as a society, what is important. So if these two forces come together and bond, then some big stuff is getting manifested, really brought forward into form. And then again, Uranus here in perfect T-square. I mean, it's all so special what the cosmos is presenting us here as a mandala, as a beautiful piece of art. Yes, life is art. That's what I would definitely say, and the stars show that in a very particular way. Every birth chart, by the way, is a piece of art. That's how I look at it. An energetic blueprint. So this was the lunar return, again with a Sag rising, repeating the birth energy of the rising sign. And then tomorrow is a Mars return for the American nation. Mars at 2122 here in the original chart. (2122) here he is. Interesting, the similarity with the full moon chart. Can you see that? Full moon chart for Greenwich, the global full moon chart, and the nation's Mars return. So it really shows that yes, as a global village, we give the stick for action, the talking stick, so to say, to that American nation. They are the ones who will put it into action, being the Martian representatives. And with Uranus here at the 4th house cusp, and the Mars in the 5th house, Jupiter still in the 4th, a beautiful combination of energies. 5th house Mars is very Leo, and Leo is the sign of the hour, naturally. That big stellium in the 7th house with Mercury and Venus both. Yes, now a Mars return is a bigger thing. That happens only about every 28 months. So this is the dynamics we are starting to see gripping. This is not a momentary thing. This is really again a blueprint for a 2-year period. And again, what I said before, that 2920 Sun at the Mr. Trump's ascendant, 2959. Yes, it's really the window of an amazing empowerment. Naturally, no surprise here that he was reinstated, given his honor back, and that's pretty much what happened today and yesterday on this Leo full moon. Okay, now we're getting to today, August 21st, and the moon was closest to Earth today. That is what perigee means. You know, the moon has an elliptical orbit around the Earth, and there's the moment where it's closest, which really is one of the two defining moments in the moon's journey. The moon's orbit is always a little bit shifting, so these moments when the moon is close and farthest are definitely very important in terms of seeing where things are going. Have a strong predictive potential for Greenwich again, and these things you can look up on the net, by the way. Here it is. There's this website, lunar perigee and apogee calculator. You can put in any year, and here you have it, August 21st, 5:06 a.m. And if we go to the chart once more, 5:06 a.m. So I'm not making these things up, you know that. Anyway, just once in a while I like to teach you something, because this is a super powerful chart too, and I already saw that coming, that there would be a real focal moment coming and calling us to our duty. That's what it is, and it is interesting that this is also the degree where the American nation's latest progressed new moon occurred, which dates back to March of 2024. Again, go back to that recording which I made a few months ago, which really outlines the big story we are seeing unfolding. That was the moment when we truly were pushed into the heart of darkness. And naturally, this is a 30-year cycle, which is the resolution, the integration of the shadow is on its way. This is a longer process, but it really got to the center initiation point in March of 2024, when it became so obvious nobody could overlook it anymore. So okay, another little cherry in this whole pie, in this thing, is today was also a lunar occultation of Saturn. Means along a path of totality stretching from South America to Europe, skywatchers saw the full moon swallow Saturn. This is a rare occurrence that happens only a few times every year, that one of the planets for some time, for some place on this planet, is moving behind the moon. Always very important, naturally. An occultation is when that planet's energy is swallowed by the moon. Very well said. It is almost getting integrated into the lunar frequency, getting transposed down to a level where it becomes more biologically experiential, as the moon is that link, that lens through which we are experiencing the cosmos through, one could say, in a simple way said. So occultations are always super powerful, brought that Saturnian energy even more down into this dimension. The energy, and that was happening about 2-3 hours prior to the moon being closest to Earth. So really the moon was super magnified today, in always possible again in that T-square of the Mars-Jupiter conjunction. Yeah, it's really showtime. I guess that's what we could call it in short. It's hard really to stay seated and to sleep at night, so intense it gets. Okay, let me just add a few more snippets into where we're going. Now this is the next level excitement is when heliocentric Chiron and Hygeia within an hour or so changing into hexagram 42. I think I make another video about that. That in itself is a total shift of approach. 42 is increase. It's when spirit becomes so immersed into reality that it shines through on all levels, on all fronts. This is an energy of victory, an energy of expansion, of fullness, of power, and Chiron heliocentrically moving into this part of the zodiac. This is the big breakthrough. We are just seeing that now Chiron will be in that hexagram for roughly 2 years. Just give you a little idea. This is a big shift energetically. I will get deeper into this and into early September. We are moving on lightning speed. It's unbelievable how dense the upgrades come now. Pretty much every hour, every day. We are getting into a higher gear. Yes, it's super exciting. I'm glad to be here with you, and hopefully you are having as much fun as I do. Wishing you well. We will get through that, there's no question, and way beyond, and generations come will speak about this time on this planet, what we accomplished. Yes, it's wonderful. Love you all. Bye bye.